Well, we have a full moon in Libra that's going to be happening today. It's going to be occurring around just after 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, around like 10:18, 10:20. We have a full moon. It's going to be happening here at 12 degrees of Libra. Now, I'm calling this full moon the silent killer. And the reason why I'm calling it the silent killer is because we have about 2 weeks before we had this major, massive stellium in Aries. As if we already didn't have a lot of energy in Aries, we're going to have this massive buildup that's going to be occurring over the next couple of weeks. And you have about 2 weeks until this energy really pops off. This full moon, like I said, at 12 degrees, this is going to, of course, be bringing up a lot of things with relationships, the way that we communicate. It's going to be bringing up a lot of these complexities and whether or not we can really build those bridges with people, whether or not we can really find some sort of level ground and camaraderie with people. This full moon is going to be in square to Jupiter here in Cancer at 15 degrees of Cancer, right? So it's not going to be exact, but because the sun is involved and because the biggest planet, Jupiter, is involved, there's going to be some major influences here with this square. Now, the interesting thing about this, of course, is that all planets yield to the sun. They always yield to the sun. Whether they are an aspect to it or not, all planets will yield to the sun. And the basic fundamentals of the sun in Aries is, who are you? Who are you at the most fundamental, basic level? And this is something that we love to complicate. We love to complicate this because we'll put on all these different layers, all these different definitions, all of these different things, but it comes down on a spiritual foundational level. Who are you? But Jupiter in Cancer wants to feel good. It wants to be idealistic. It wants to have its sanctuary. It wants to expand upon these areas. And Jupiter is while Jupiter can be rather big picture, it wants to get there as fast as possible. It is the get rich quick scheme. That's what Jupiter does. And in Cancer, it wants to just feel good immediately, right? It wants to feel the comfort immediately. But it is squaring over to this sun, and like I said, squaring over to this moon. And these planets, of course, are yielding to the sun, which is about the most basic fundamental of who you are. So when it comes to these relationships, whether they are friendships, platonic, lovers, family, colleagues at work, it comes down to, like, yes, we would rather things be a certain way. We would rather feel comfortable in a certain way. But it comes down to, who are you? Who are they? Are you able to build bridges? What other thing interesting about this full moon, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but the other thing about this full moon is the fact that we have Pluto, the planet of transformation. I call him the executioner. He's over here in Aquarius, making a square over to Venus, which is now in Taurus. So once again, another challenging aspect. But through challenges, we have growth. Venus in Taurus, it likes to be in Taurus because it feels good here. It's all about the value. It's all about the looks. It's all about, knowing our worth, right? But the square over to Pluto is really challenging us to find the worth in people that are outside our general sphere, that are outside of the 10 people that we spend the most time with. Can we find a bridge with these individuals? Because remember, this moon is in Libra where Venus rules. And yes, while Venus is a traditional ruler of Taurus, the moon would rather be where Venus is, and Venus would much rather be where the moon is, right? How can we find some common ground, some commonality, the common good, if you will, because Taurus does rule physical goods as well. How can we find the commonality between people, including those that are out there, austere, alien, foreign? That's what it comes down to. But because we have all of this energy that's building up in Aries, right? Right now we have Neptune here. We have Saturn here. We have the sun here. We have Chiron here. And this full moon is sort of like this nexus point. It is this illumination, if you will, where it's going to reveal to us and it's going to show us where in our relationships that we have, like I said, whether it's romantic, friends, colleagues, family, diplomatic relationships. It's going to kind of show us where we currently are and the things that we need to shift in order to get on the same page or not get on the same page. Because what does Aries rule? It rules war. And I think this is something that a lot of people tend to forget about, especially those people who are in the spiritual community and maybe not pay attention to astrology, because I get it, no one likes war, but war happens. And it seems like the people that always suffer the most are the common people. So we need to be able to, in many ways, divorce ourselves from a lot of the narratives, from a lot of the propaganda, from a lot of the confusion, and a lot of these different, I can't even find the words for it right now, but we need to divorce ourselves from all of this influence of the big external, big picture world. And it's not so much that we need to stick our head in the sand, because that's not healthy either, but we need to come back to basics. Who are you? How are you in relationships? What is your communication style? How can you communicate more effectively in these relationships? But if you don't know who you are, you can't really communicate properly, because you are communicating from a false sense of self. You are communicating from a self that has layers upon layers upon layers of supposed identity. And this is going to actually have you spouting out things that is not really congruent with who you actually are. It's like people are wearing 10 different jackets trying to shield themselves from the coldness, from the frigid reality of things, because sometimes things can feel cold emotionally, spiritually, but it's like everyone has all of these different jackets on, and they are afraid to be naked in front of the world, afraid to be naked in front of God, as if we can hide anything from God, because we can't. We can't. This is a silent killer, because by the time that the moon comes back around and we get to the new moon in Aries, we're going to have Mercury that's going to be here, and we're going to have Mars that's going to be here. And what's interesting about that is that Mars, which is dispositing all this Aries energy, is still in Pisces right now for this full moon. So a lot of our actions and, like I said, even our thoughts with Mercury, a lot of it is confusion. There's a lot of hesitation. There's a lot of apprehension. We are acting in many ways from our delusions. We're thinking from our delusions. But of course, the positive side to Pisces is that we can think of the biggest, most magnanimous things in these dreams that we have. We can manifest them. But the problem is that it's going to be a bit slow and a bit delayed. And I think that frustration is what people are feeling right now. The things that they want to manifest, maybe there is a bit of a delay. And it's interesting too, because Saturn is involved in many ways with manifestation. All the planets are, but Saturn is involved with it. And you would think that things would happen faster because it is an Aries. Fast, quick, bam, pow. That's what Aries is. All of those like different, those big words that you'll see like in comics, like the pow, wham, wow, that's Aries, right? And with Saturn there, which is the ruler of time, you would think things would happen faster, but the problem is that mentally we're still in Pisces world. Action-wise, we are still in Pisces world. So there is a disconnect here with how we're manifesting things. But by the time that the moon comes around and gets to the new moon, we're going to have so much energy in Aries that it's going to complicate things. When Aries is actually very simple, but it's going to complicate things because Neptune is going to be there, bringing all of this wave of emotion. Saturn is going to be there, letting us know that, hey, there are going to be moments where we're going to have to kind of mature and grow up a little bit, maybe faster than we want to in certain situations. Some situations are going to mature very, very fast. Then we're going to have to learn how to act on the fly. We're going to have to learn how to make decisions. Decision as in to cut parts away so we can move forward. But this moon in Libra, it is at least going to give us an opportunity to kind of think and ponder on what direction we should go. But we only have 2 weeks. Because like I said, Mars is going to come here, Mercury is going to come here, and then things are going to kick off fast. If you think things and energy is moving fast right now, wait in for 2 weeks. When we get to the new moon in Aries, which will be with Chiron, mind you. And then you will see how things move really quickly. And Mars wants to join up with this party. All this energy in Aries, Mars wants to get there and join the fight, but it can't. And it's not even going to catch up with the sun, which is at its exaltation in Aries. It's not going to catch up with the sun while it's in Aries. It's not going to catch up to the sun when it's in Taurus. Mars has a while to go before it can catch up to the sun and get some of that vitality and power back. Because whenever Mars and the sun meet, there's this vitality boost that we get, and we get more energy so we can move forward and act and do things and blah, blah, blah. But it's not going to reach there. And that's going to be the frustration with this, because I think, a lot of us are doing our best, we're trying our best, we're wanting to manifest things, but things there's a bit of a delay. There's a bit of a delay. Even with all this energy already in Aries, there's a bit of a delay mentally, there's a bit of a delay when we act as well. So like I said, the danger with this full moon is that we may be so focused on expanding upon our comfort level and the things that feel good, because Jupiter's in Cancer, and there's nothing wrong with feeling good, but the problem is that are you expanding upon these feelings to hide your true self, or is it aligned with who you really are? Or are you going for just I just want to feel good as quick as possible, irregardless if it actually aligns with who I really am? And if you go down that route, by the time we get all this energy in Aries, things are going to pop, situations are going to mature really fast, and then you're not going to really know how to act, because you're going to be taking all of the other stuff into, you're going to be taking all the emotion into consideration. And there's something wrong with emotion. Emotion and logic are two sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other, right? But if you get so lost up into the emotional, then you're not going to know how to act when we get all this Aries energy. But also, if you're so caught up in the logical, then you're also not going to you're not going to know how to process your emotions and your feelings throughout this. And you're not going to be able to have a level of emotional maturity once we get through these 2 weeks, right? That sun is approaching this major square with Jupiter. Yeah, it's going to happen in a couple of days, pretty much right before Easter. We'll get that major square, and like I said, all planets yield to the sun. All the planets revolve around the sun, not the other way around. And Jupiter, of course, wants to be a sun. It's a failed sun, right? So I think that's what we have to do. We have to be able to look at some of the emotions that we've had. We got to be able to look at some of the situations, our habits as well. And we have to be able to be like, you know what, maybe this served me for a particular time. This persona served me for a particular time. But it's time to cut this away, transform it with all this Pluto energy, because, I recognize that I have certain values and I'm recognizing certain worth with the Pluto-Venus square. We have to be able to cut these things away so we can step into our true self. Not even a new self, but our true self, which is always there, which is always present, which is never gone, which is never forsaking you. It's just waiting for you to quietly step into your power. And that's what this full moon in Libra is. It is going to be a very silent shot, and it is going to be something that's going to, in 2 weeks' time, we'll see. Once we get to the new moon in Aries, we're going to have the question again and ask us, who really are you? What are you about? And it's going to come down to our behaviors, the way that we act. We can say all the things that we want, especially with Mercury still in Pisces and Mars still in Pisces. We can say all the things that we want, but if our actions don't follow, and we're just it's just hot air, we're just all full of hot air, that balloon's going to pop and you're going to crash back down to Earth. And then you got to pick up the pieces, right? This is kind of one of those moments where it's like Icarus wants to fly up to the sun, but the wings melt and he crashes into the ocean. And in many ways, we're all going through that process right now with some aspects, some false self that we believe that we can exalt and fly to the sun and fly to the stars with, but it's going to melt those wax wings because it doesn't have the integrity of lasting in that flight. But if you were to step into your true self, you will have the integrity and your wings won't melt. So that's where we are for this full moon. And that's what I got for you guys. Hope that this message resonates. If it doesn't, cool. If it does, cool. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Let's get it. It's going to be a good full moon. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.